Vasari says the art was lost, but what was worse is that the tradition of craftsmen was lost. And so a crucial part of that spark is you get the right guy. You get Cimabue, who has this natural gift, this natural talent, and then he meets up with a tradition, such as it is. And it's kind of confusing because he says they painted not in the good ancient style of the Greeks, but in the rude modern manner, by which he does not mean the modern manner of the Renaissance, but by the maniera greca, the sort of Greek manner, the Byzantine style. And this style has been basically just stagnating. They've just been sort of doing the same thing for a while, over and over again. And they teach Cimabue that art, but Cimabue himself also makes these advances and these additions. And what's great about it is, we have seen that the sort of style of many great artists is to begin with what's going at the time, and then to kind of make changes and trouble it and make additions. And this is a sort of perennial fact about great works and great artists, that they kind of learn the sort of highest possible form that they can, and then they break it. I mean, this is like some of the poets that are kind of modernists initially write these very like conservative works and then kind of break out of it. Picasso is somebody that makes these classical works and then sort of moves into abstraction, or at least into a sort of weird new style. And this is why, I always have a certain suspicion when people say, oh yes, I'm a poet, and I write sort of free-form poetry, or like that girl who was the poet laureate or whatever, or who gave the inaugural poem at Biden's inauguration. Who poor girl is like, just a kid, but not a poet. I mean, just terrible at what she does. And they say like, yes, I'm in this sort of avant-garde style, and it's like, well, if you're in the avant-garde, have you really progressed beyond the guard, right? Have you really progressed beyond the sort of traditional forms? And the truly great innovators, right, have a very deep knowledge of the stuff that they're innovating from, because otherwise, how could you know which innovations are meaningful? Only if you're working within this tradition. So even as he says, Vasari, that all of this rude Greek manner was sort of to be surpassed, and it was stagnant, and all of that may be true, and yet Cimabue becomes Cimabue by studying that style and by working with it. And you can see this very clearly in many of the works of his that survive.